let's get to Ehud Barak. This is important because now I want to start making the Israel case specifically. So we already talked about how earlier Epstein. Well, look, I want to present this factually. I don't need people coming with the anti-Semitism accusations. Let's live only in the world of fact.
Do people make those accusations anymore?
Absolutely.
Wait, that happens?
Today, right now, this entire thing is going to be branded anti-Semitic. But, well, listen, I don't care anymore, but even though they are going to say that no matter what, we should not be irresponsible, and let's live in the world of fact. So go ahead, Joey, and scroll down
fucking
to the thing that I have here that says Epstein and Ehud Barak. So, okay, let's go ahead and put this up here. Here are the lists that I compiled just yesterday of every Israeli prime minister who we know who was linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Number one is Shimon Peres. Shimon Peres was the prime minister of Israel in the 1980s. He, according to Ehud Barak himself in the open record, introduced Ehud Barak to Jeffrey Epstein. So that's the first prime minister of Israel that we know is linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Number two is Ehud Omer, who was named as an Epstein associate by the U.S. Virgin Islands in their lawsuit against JP Morgan and Chase. I will be honest, Ehud Omer, we have the least amount of information. We only know he was named by the U.S. Virgin Islands as an Epstein associate. Number three, Ehud Barak, as I list there. Connections too vast to paraphrase, all right? And so let's spend some time now on Ehud Barak. Let me return to Netanyahu in a bit. In my document, you can scroll to the Epstein and Ehud Barak section. Ehud Barak stayed for multiple times at Jeffrey Epstein's house. This is confirmed. He flew dozens of times on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet.
But he has nowhere else to stay in New York City.
Yeah, right. He's the former prime minister of Israel.
Where could he stay?
Actually, Joey, can you pull up the photo of Ehud Barak? Ehud Barak, Epstein mansion.
That was my
thought.
That was my thought.
This is the biggest problem. You're going to go say it the Four Seasons?
No, I want you guys to see the photo. There's a photo of Ehud Barak walking into the Epstein mansion with his face covered with a scarf up to his nose, and this is pre-COVID times.
Yes.
He says it was cold, but
it was cold. It was cold.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Look at that. That's him walking into Jeffrey Epstein's house. That's insane. People don't walk around like that. They don't walk around like that.
That's post 2008.
Sorry. Yeah, and this is post 2008.
So again, we're talking about post-conviction.
Yeah, post-conviction.
He's a registered sex offender.
That's right.
Still staying at his house.
He's staying at his house.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Also, 2015, I have a documented link here.
He might just be cheap and not want to spend.
Epstein funded Ehud Barak.
Hey, you don't know no other Jews or real estate in New York City.
All right. Let me continue. Epstein funded Ehud Barak's defense intelligence startup to the tune of millions of dollars. So that, in my opinion, is one of the real smoking guns. Because what did I talk about earlier with Robert Maxwell was the funding of software used by the Israeli government to do what? To spy on the United States.
Now, this software would be used to spy everywhere, I imagine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course, like Pegasus, right? And all of these other things are, right? So it's not just the United States, but it's everybody, all right? But here in this case, Epstein entered partnership worth millions with Ehud Barak in 2015, post-conviction, registered sex offender. Okay, let's continue. Barak is who? The former, not only prime minister, the former head of military intelligence inside of Israel. Let's continue beyond that. And let's say ask about Ehud Barak and what else he did. I have this in the Wexner section. If you want, it is... Let me find it here. I may not have actually put a citation. You can Google it if you would like. Epstein, who was also named by Leslie Wexner as a trustee of the Wexner Foundation, paid Ehud Barak $2.3 million to complete 2 consulting reports, one of which he never finished. Okay? $2.3 million paid by the Wexner Foundation to Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, for one of which he never finished. Okay? I'm just saying, good work if you can get it. Right? 2.3 million. Everybody out there, if you're struggling with your bills and your mortgage, this is insane. All right? This is insane. For purposes of what? We don't know. Now let's return to the Wexner Foundation.
Why would he be paying him?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
What's going on?
No, I guess I'm saying, like, why is that advantageous? Like,
because it's like a jobs program for all of these former Israeli officials, and it's basically a network where, and this is actually fits what I was about to continue. The Wexner Foundation funds a fellowship right now at Harvard University, which, by the way, of course, also had connections with Jeffrey Epstein. And what did we see? Is that the Wexner Foundation has for decades now sponsored programs where Israeli officials, including military officials and civil government officials, come to the United States to, quote, learn leadership. And it's known as one of the largest networks of like highly influential Israeli government officials who come to the United States and basically link up with one another as a very, very powerful nexus. So the Wexner Foundation Foundation is involved.
And why is that incriminating that they come here and learn leadership?
Well, it's not incriminating. I'm just saying that the Wexner, this is an American. He's a billionaire. He's funding AIPAC and all of these various Zionist causes. He's also paying, weirdly, $2.3 million to a former Israeli prime minister. This is a foundation which Epstein has a lot of control over. By the way, just to be fair to them, they have claimed that Epstein had no influence over that decision. Okay. I mean, he was, basically running it, and he had power of attorney by Leslie Wexner. But, to be fair to the Wexner Foundation, I mean, I just think it's crazy. This is insane to pay $2.3 million to Ehud Barak.
So take me down that line of thinking. Yeah. If you pay him that money, what does that mean?
Yeah, for what? It's like to what? But to what
take
end?
Me down
I
there.
don't know. I
give
mean,
give me a hypothetical.
My hypothetical is that these are basically ways to create slush funds that perhaps he was using, and others to fund other intelligence operations. So this returns me to the black money point, is that you need legitimate ways to wash money.
Okay, so
nonprofits are great ways.
He's giving the money to him, and then he's doing nefarious
Who knows what he's
activities
doing?
with it.
I don't know what he's doing.
Is there a way of looking at it where you go, Jeffrey Epstein is working for U.S. intelligence, and in a way, this is how they're bribing Israeli intelligence
you very may well be onto something.
To
right.
U.S.
And this is why I will never sit here and say he was solely a Mossad agent or a Mossad asset, solely a U.S. asset. I think he was a hired gun. He would work for anybody.
For anybody.
And everybody would want to work with this person
because he has access to all the rich and
world's money,
to
the world's rich and the famous. He can tell you the secrets. I mean, this is the gold standard of an intelligence asset in the United States of America, the capital of the global empire, right? New York City, the capital of global finance. People, even private business people, would want to be friends with Epstein because, like, hey, what's going on with that deal? Are they going to, do a leverage buyout with this person? And Epstein would be like, yeah, maybe I can find out for you, right? And he, calls up this person. So there are a lot of reasons to want to have access to all of this,
and why
much
would
of which is very beneficial.
Why would he want access to Epstein?
Well, that is one of those things where I actually think the relationship was the other way, because it might be just a quid pro quo situation. Like, you're Ehud Barak, you're the former prime minister of Israel, and Jeffrey Epstein is a guy who made his money somehow, and you need millions of dollars from him, not a legitimate, venture capital firm. I think that the reason that they want sketchy money is because it was probably, in my opinion, some sort of intelligence front. And that this is exactly, he's fulfilling his purpose. The financier uses the money, the dirty money, or the, untraceable money to fund future spyware, intelligence companies. This gets to the front company discourse. It also shows us that he was involved in this in 2015. It wasn't that long ago, okay? It was only 10 years ago that he was still doing this. So it shows that even post-conviction, he's continuing the behavior, which is very suspicious, in my opinion. So that's where we are with Ehud Barak. Now let's return to Netanyahu, because this is a fun story, actually. So Netanyahu in 2011, I have that screenshot in my tweet if you want to go ahead and put that up there. Netanyahu met with the JP Morgan exec I mentioned earlier, Jess Staley. All right. So Jess Staley in 2011 emails Epstein, and he said, I got to find the exact text. I don't have it here in the document, but I tweeted it a couple of days ago. Let me just go ahead and find it, because the wording of it is genuinely remarkable, where he sends him an email and he said something like, against all odds. Yeah, here we go. In 2011, JP Morgan executive forwarded an email to Epstein. Against all odds, we have been granted a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Epstein replies, surprise, surprise. The U.S. Virgin Island notes that he was a key conduit in brokering meetings like this. And so here's from the U.S. Virgin Islands lawsuit, where they note some of the world's dignitaries: Prince Andrew, Ehud Barak, Netanyahu, David Gergen,